Hi everyone, this is Stephanie with Wayback Arcade's tech support, and today I'm going to show you how to map your console and map controllers to be able to play Nintendo 64 games. Um, some of the Nintendo 64 games can work with the default mapping, but a lot of them we need to remap the joystick to analog um, for the games to work. So, but first, if you could like, subscribe to our channel, that really helps us out. You'll get notifications on when we go live and any other videos we upload. You can check out if you have a power console. You can check out the Power Console Guides playlist for any of your other power console needs. We have videos on there for mapping. Um, General use of the console. If you find that your console feels like it's playing in slow motion or the sound is slow motion, that's your refresh rate. Um, it's based on the screen you're playing on, so that's a computer. That's a computer setting. That video is up there. So yeah, check that out if you have any questions with the power console. You can always email us at tech at way-back-arcades.com if you have another question that you don't that you can't answer with one of the videos. So now let's get to it. um, First I'm going to show you how to remap your console to be able to play the Nintendo 64 games. So we're going to go and you're going to find in big box, you're going to find Nintendo 64. We're going to select that, and then you're going to find a game, whatever game you want to play. I'm going to choose Super Smash Bros. And we're going to select the game and we're going to play the game. We're going to select play. It's going to load. And now we're going to press the start button. And I'm going to be playing one player mode and one player game. Now we need to choose our person. And as you can see, the joystick does not work to choose our person. So we need to go and remap the joystick. So I'm going to hold down the coin button. This gets you into RetroArch. We're going to go back and you're going to go into settings and input. We need to find our ports and we're going to go to port 1, and you'll see here that our port 1 is my player 1. On my machine, it's opposite. So the joystick 2 is actually player 1, and the joystick 1 is actually player 2. So port 1 is my player 1. So we're going to go down, and as you can see, the D-pad is mapped, but the game does not recognize the D-pad. If you watched our Robotron video, then it's the same thing with like Robotron. So we're going to go down and we're going to find control stick. And this is the analog stick, and we need to map the analog sticks. So we're going to select it with 1 and up on the joystick, and you're just going to follow it. And here, all 4 sticks, and now they're mapped. You see -1, +1, -0, and +0 on the side. If you feel like you want to remap your buttons, you can also do that here too. You can remap the buttons however you like, or just leave them as is. I'm going to leave my buttons as is for this. And then we're going to go back, and then if you want to do the same for port 2, which is your player 2, you can also do that same. You go all the way down to control stick, and you can map your player 2 the same way. But I'm only playing one player, so I'm only going to map one player. So we're going to go back, and we're going to go back, and we're going to go back, and we're going to, and back is the player 1, 2 button. We're going to go down to configuration file. We're going to select the configuration file, and we're going to save as a new configuration. If you save it as a current configuration, it's going to save your console as what you just remapped for all your games. So if you want that, you can do that. But if you don't, and you just want to remap for this particular gameplay, you're going to do save new configuration, and then we can, as you saw at the bottom that it saved it, we're going to hold down the coin button to get back into our game. And now you can see that our joystick moves the hand. So we're going to choose our player. I'm going to choose Mario. We're going to select that. It wants us to press start. And now we can play our game. I'm going to just play for a few seconds to show you that it can work. And if you, like I said, if you don't like the mapping of the buttons, you just hold down the coin button and you can remap your buttons the same way. So there you go. Okay, so as you know, we got that to work. So we're gonna hold down the start button and get out of the game. So we just remapped for that particular gameplay where we remapped our joysticks and our buttons, on our console to be able to uh, play that game. Now I'm going to show you how to play with a controller and map the controller. So um, for Nintendo 64, it's best if you have a controller with at least one analog stick on it. Nintendo 64 games prefer to use the analog stick, so I suggest you use a controller that has an analog stick. We have what I'm using here is the Easy SMX controllers. They're the wireless ones. If you just bought a console, then you received a pair of those. If you don't have one and you want one, just check out our website. But any USB controller that has an analog stick will work, should work with the Nintendo 64 games. So we're going to plug this into the back of our machine there. Here we go, and we're going to turn on our controller, and we're going to go into our game. But before I do, you can see that big box recognizes our controller. So we're going to play. There we go. And as you can see that it says press start, the start doesn't work. So we need to remap our controller. So what we're going to do is hold down the coin button again to get back into RetroArch. And this time we're going to go back and we're going to go back to settings just like we did before in input. We need to see what port our controller is set at. So we're going to go down and we're going to check all of our ports and see what port our controller is set. We're going to check one. Oh, that's my joystick. That's my joystick, and port 3 is my controller. Um, I like to set my controllers as port 3, port 4. If I'm only if I'm only using two controllers, I like to think my joysticks as 1 and 2. But it doesn't really matter if you're playing with 4 controllers. You can really set your controllers or your joysticks as any port. But you just got to remember what port you set your controllers at or your joysticks at, so we can set the mapping, the player mapping to that correct device. So I only connected one controller, so that is port 3. So now we can go back and we're going to go to main menu and we're going to go to quick menu. We're going to go down to controls, and we need to change our player number for our device. So we when we checked our which device is which port, we knew player 1 is port 1, player 2 is port 2, and uh, our controller is port 3. Well, uh, your RetroArch automatically sets each player number to the number port. So 1 is 1, 2 is 2, 3 is 3, 4 is 4. So we're going to leave port 1 and port 2 as the same as 1 and 2, but we need to change our port 3 to player 1. So we're going to go down and we're going to, you see the map port. Mapped port is where you change your player number. So right, like I said, it's that as port or player 3. We're going to change it to player 1. And again, whatever device, whatever joystick, you can make whatever player you want. You just have to set it here. So if for some reason you want your player 2 set up to be player 1 and you want it to be opposite, you can do that too. Um, it it uh, it's very versatile like that. So we're gonna go back and we're going to manage our remap. We're gonna go up to manage remap files and we're going to save our game remap file. So we're going to save our game remap file. So now every time you plug in your controller will be player 1. As long as it's the same controller, it's going to be player 1, and your joystick will still be player 1, and your joystick 2 will be player 2. And if you have a controller, you can set that to player 2, or however you want to set your player numbers. But I have both of these set at player 1. So now we set our controller to be player 1. So this will work as player 1 now, but we need to remap the buttons on this. So we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back again and go back again, and we're gonna go back to where we were in settings and input. But this time we're gonna go to port 3, and we're gonna select port 3 and it's our controller. We're going to remap our buttons. So the D-pad does not work with Nintendo 64 games. So we're going to leave that as is. We're going to set I'm going to reset all the buttons. So we're going to select and you're going to use your controller to set it. But you'll still have to use your player 1 to navigate RetroArch. So we're going to select, select, select. Here we're gonna select that there. Do the start button here. The left shoulder there. Oop, we're gonna try that again. Left shoulder there. Right shoulder. We're gonna trigger that. Oops, we're gonna trigger that, and we're going to trigger that. And your analog, as you see, your analog sticks are already programmed. So you do not need to program your analog sticks. It was just the buttons. You could leave it as is if you'd like, but the mapping is kind of off on it. The start button is not mapped properly. So and some of the other buttons aren't mapped properly. So you just go in and you can remap how you like. We're gonna go back. And again, if you have a controller in port 4, you can do the same thing there. But we only have one controller, so we're going to go back again and back again to main menu. Again, configuration file. I don't want this to be my configuration for everything, so we're going to save it as a new configuration. And we're going to hold down the coin button to get back into our game. And now our start button should work here. Yep. We're going to select and select. Now I should be able to use my, I could be able to use my analog stick to choose my player. I'm going to choose Mario again. I'm going to press start. And now we should be able to play the game. Alright, let's see. There we go. Alright. So that is how you remap. Let's see if we hold it down, it'll get out of our game. Nope. We have to hold down our start button on our Yep. Hold on our start button. And that is how you remap your console and your controller to play Nintendo 64 games. Check out our Power Console Guides playlist for any other questions, or email us at tech at way-back-arcades.com with any more specific questions. And we'll see you on the next one. Happy gaming.